Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with a short and juicy story. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Revenge on my wife who cheated on me with her boss. My wife and I happen to work for the same company. So one day I found out my wife was sleeping with a VP of our company and had planned a trip to Napa Valley over our anniversary under the guise of a business trip. Went to HR and homeboy was promptly fired since she was under him, tee-hee, and kicked her out of the house. That whole thread made my heart hurt. Stories like that made it better. And our next story. Made my boss cry. This story takes place in Scotland. I've had some dumb luck in the past 5 years of my work history. I'm an administrator/office type, so I applied for a job at Company A and got a job as a call handler in a telephone answering service. Over a few years, I kept that same crappy job title and pay, but was actually more the office manager due to the workload and how much of a distance there was between what my daily work was compared to anyone else. So long story short, I walked out. Because I was the only one running admin in the place, it all stopped and she lost her biggest client. I landed another job at Company B as an admin assistant. It should have been easy, something low-key to keep me financially. Also, at this time, I'd moved house and was saving for my wedding, which was made known to the owner of the company. That's why I applied for the lower-ranked and paid position. Within a year, I was running an entire central production unit for a chain of cafes and delis, still on low pay and crappy admin assistant job title. You see a recurring theme here? As I was about to demand a pay raise and a proper job title for the work I did, the owner puts the whole company into administration and cuts everyone's hours. I sucked it up to keep the place going. I worked hard and got the CPU into profit. Owner says everyone needs to slash their hours more because other departments are losing money. I refuse to cut mine. I'm already down to the bone financially. He agrees to have a meeting about it, but instead jets off on holiday. I hear back from Company C regarding a role I applied for as an admin, learn I have a new job to go to, so walk out the very next day. The place is still in administration many years later with massive job losses, and they closed half their locations. Turns out my work was the only thing keeping the CPU open, and when I left, they had to close it down because no one else knew how to run it, and they failed a hygiene inspection too. Company C takes us to the true pro-revenge. At first, things are amazing. Great hours, pay, I'm treated really well. I start to put the past behind me, thinking the way things were at the last two companies must be a fluke. Company C rewards my hard work with a pay raise and a better job title after 3 months, but then they start to take me for granted. After 4 months of being there, I moved to the sister company, which is in the installation branch, fitting insulation under government grants to residential homes. I'm to run the installation and warehouse operations with a small admin team, and it'll be temporary with my reward being a move to office manager when the current manager, Angela, goes on maternity leave. On this basis, I accept. The idea was when Angela comes back, she'll be moved to oversee another department. So while I'm running installations, I have a nervous Angela to accommodate as she's still my manager in theory and wants me to use her crappy basic spreadsheets so she can feel like she's still in control. But I also have 3 directors/owner, swishy, stupid, and sly, constantly coming in and contradicting each other over what they want and targets, etc. I juggle making everyone happy, meet the targets, and get processes and procedures in place. Oh, and I'm still doing tasks from my old role as they don't have anyone else to take care of that. I have issues with the team they hired to do admin under me. Lazy, slutty, and shy. Lazy plays on Facebook all day, slutty flirts and chats all day, and shy is quietly handling way too much, but too afraid to speak up. So I report the team issues and they get pulled into a meeting. Remember, I'm a senior administrator, not a manager. I get brought in afterwards and Director Stupid decides they're all perfectly fine and competent and it's my fault they aren't doing their jobs. I suck it up, thinking he may be right, and try to work on my management style. Nothing changes. In fact, it takes Director Sly coming in on a day when all 3 are off and I'm doing all of their jobs by myself for the bosses to notice how little my team actually have to do. But again, why do anything about it when OP can take it on and cover it as well? Nothing is done about the Three Stooges, and my workload continues as is. Shortly thereafter, it's announced the new office manager will be Claire. I'm livid, but think maybe I'm going to be made the official installations manager, as this is hinted at by other managers. I have at this point only been in the new role 2 months. Then the stress got to me, and I was off ill for a week. While I was off, everything fell apart. My admin staff stopped doing any work at all, and some installs were reported as complete when they hadn't been. So Director Swishy swoops in and orders the whole place to be audited. He suspends me and warns me to look for another job. He tasks the audit to Claire. Claire's 24 years old. This is her second job ever. Claire looks and acts much older than she actually is, so you get fooled into thinking she's better than she is. She's also the type to blame others for her mistakes or great at hiding them. She gets to the root of those installs being declared complete when they weren't, as one installer pre-signing his paperwork. He would have brought that in and given it to Slutty, who should have then rebooked the job and put the paperwork back out. But of course she didn't, because she wasn't doing any work while I was off. So the bosses can't pin the blame on me. Before I went off sick, I was supposed to be off for one day and had left a detailed list of everyone's daily job and tasks so other managers would know who does what, and decide to pull me back into my old role and put lazy, slutty, and shy into lesser admin roles. This means no promotion for me. They then hire a new admin team and make one of them the effing manager. She has no experience and sleeps with the installers. But wait, it gets better. 2 to 3 months later, I'm now working directly under Director Sly and the operations manager, Lizard King. In fact, I'm doing all of Lizard King's work and taking abuse and bullying from him, as no one else can stand working near him. I am doing jobs well out with my remit, like tendering for work and running the entire QMS. I am in effect the assistant ops manager, no pay raise or job title though. Now we get to the end. I effectively hold the keys to the kingdom. There's no part of the business I don't know and haven't run or had a part in getting up and running. I'm relied upon for almost everything. They call me the cornerstone of the office. At this point, I've been with Company C less than 2 years. Claire's still called the office manager, but all she does is oversee a small team who submit completed installs to the funder for payment. She doesn't know anything actually office manager related. I have a run-in with Director Stupid. He allowed Lizard King to bully his assistant, so she quit. I'm forced, despite protesting, to also take on her work, which is wiping his dumb butt. He calls me after hours with stupid comments like, "Did you photocopy X and call Y?" after I emailed him to say I had before I left work and verbally told him I'd emailed. I arrange a really important compliance audit to allow time to get it done right, and he calls them behind my back and rearranges, cutting the time I have to do the work in half. This compliance audit costs us thousands and is really important to get more work. It's all too much, and I get sicker and sicker. Finally, I decide I'll quit. I tell the office yap I'm thinking of quitting, knowing word will spread, and it does. Director Swishy takes me aside and begs me not to leave. He gives me a paid week off and says to come in the Monday after for a talk. I think things are finally changing, so agree. Except that I notice on the Sunday that Director Swishy posts on Facebook that he's hungover and taking Monday off. So I don't go back. I get a phone call late on Tuesday and Director Swishy's literally begging me to come in. I tell him everything and that he doesn't even pay me enough to do what I do. He starts to cry. His tears are like effing bliss to me. Cry, effer. I tell him no way, I'm done, he won't see me again. I then call up Company D, who is their biggest rival and most hated nemesis. Company D is owned by 2 former staff of Company C who were treated like crap, walked out, and started up their own version of Company C. They give me a job. I then remember I never signed a non-compete, so I call up Company C's best sales staff and offer them jobs. I get their top man to come join us, and he brings a handful of install leads with him, customers he was screwed out of commission on. Company C panics when they realize and try to set lawyers on us. There's no case. They then call us and harass us, visit the office, etc. We don't back down. They actually think we have their entire lead database. We don't, and are crapping bricks. Finally, I get a phone call from Director Swishy. Again, he's crying. Please don't ruin us. I know you're behind this. Please just destroy the database and this will all be over. Blah, blah. I let him think I'm thinking about it, Eventually, Company C is forced to buy a new database, and only then do I call him back and tell him that we only ever had 5 or 6 leads he could describe as being on his database, but those leads came to us through a third party, and we hadn't gotten any sales, so scrapped them. Company C have closed their sister installations company down. Most of the staff were made redundant for unrelated reasons, not my doing, and are now a company of 3 directors, 3 managers, and 1 admin from 80-plus staff. Claire's been given all my work and complains constantly, as well as demotion. Angela got fired for being useless. Lizard King has had his hours and pay cut, and Claire's going to be forced out soon, as the owners are talking about selling. I get all the updates from the company accountant whom they bullied so bad, she lost her hair and is now working for me part-time. Revenge. Making your former bosses pay thousands for something they don't need, lose another $10K on compliance audits they failed when you walked out, and make at least one of them cry. Twice. Company D so far are treating me like a queen. If crap turns sour here, it won't matter. I have the keys to the kingdom again. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.